All hail Biafra. This is Biafra Liberation Army Network coming to you again. Please like, share, and comment.
Today I wish to present to you Alexander Stubb, the president of Finland, a man who under his watch, a young brave African who is a Biafran and also a Finnish citizen, was convicted for 6 years with terror-related charges, online activities linking to terrorism activities. That was a claim they claim. The so-called trumped-up charges were met on our leader, Mazi Simon Ekpa. The Nigerian government came with a false narrative against Simon Ekpa, and Alexander Stubb, under his watch, he decided to play games, to play ball with Nigeria. We all know that Simon Ekpa, in every move he made, every steps he took, he made sure Alexander Stubb and the government of Finland were informed. They were documented. They had all the documents, all the information, all the activities of the Biafrans, the Biafran Prime Minister in Finland. But till this day, they play naive. They pretend not to know what we are doing. They pretend not to even hear about us. Today, those from Finland, they've seen the X page, which is Twitter, the X page of their president, Alexander Stubb, being bombarded by Biafrans or Africans if they claim they don't know we are Biafrans. And I ask myself, why are they not speaking about it? Why are they not calling their president to order? Why are they not holding him to account? That how come on your X page right now, more than 80% of those that are active in your X page are Africans? What's going on? They are asking for the same question. This man called Simon Ekpa, he is their prime minister, and you locked him up in Finland. Why are you not responding to them? Why have you not made a speech about your so-called best friend, Simon Ekpa, a man who was there in your political party for 10 years? Both of you were best of friends. Fellow Biafrans, today I want us to understand the state of mind of Alexander Stubb, the psychology, how he perceived the world, his understanding of warfare and crimes all across the world, war crimes and the rest of them. And by doing that, we shall look into a case study of how he dealt with, or he is dealing with, the case between Russia and Ukraine. As we know, there's an ongoing war in Europe between Russia and Ukraine, which you'll be surprised at what this man said in this video is similar to the things that Simon Ekpa has been saying all this while. The words of Alexander Stubb are similar to that of Simon Ekpa. But guess what? Mr. Alexander Stubb is still a free man to go around Europe. Nobody has called him wanted. No one has called him a terrorist. But our Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa, speaking the same way this man has spoken, has been tagged a terrorist. And Finland, of all countries, have locked him up, jailed him for 6 years. So fellow Biafrans, listeners all across the world, today I present to you Alexander Stubb, the president of Finland, speaking about freedom for Ukraine. If you're ready, let's go there. Listen to his way of reasoning. You will know that he knows what the Biafrans are going through, but he's pretending. Please, lend me your ears in this one. Listen.
Given that I'm sitting here next to you, this is more of a personal address than anything else. You see, I think we in Finland understand exactly what you're going through. We have 1,340 kilometers of border with Russia. In November 1939, Russia attacked us, completely unprovoked. We fought 2 existential wars against Russia. The first one was the Winter War. It lasted only 105 days, and we were able to hold the line. The second one was the War of Continuation, which lasted pretty much 1,100 days. And that's what you've been going through right now. And essentially, for me, this war is about the existence of nationhood in Ukraine. And that nationhood is based on a triangle. And that triangle is something that we thought would be respected ever since the end of World War II. And that is independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. Now, in World War II, Finland had to accept a peace with Stalin. And I'm sure we're going to have to accept a peace with Putin. But the peace that we accepted had only one out of the three statehood principles in it: independence. We were the only country bordering the Soviet Union that was able to retain our true independence. But we lost our sovereignty. You know, we couldn't decide the clubs we wanted to join. We were able to join the EU only when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1995. And we lost 10% of our territory, including the areas where my grandparents were born and where my father was born. Now, the only reason I'm saying this is that the support that you will see from the Finnish public, and I think from all around this table, is the support of identity and historical experience. Now, my big point is that there seems to be some misunderstanding about what is going on here. Russia obviously started this war, but remember that it started this acquisition of territory and spheres of interest already in 2008 by attacking Georgia, and then in 2014 by annexing the Crimean Peninsula. And then at the end of the day, we're now here to commemorate the third anniversary of the beginning of the full-scale war, but the war has been going on for pretty much 11 years, ever since 2014. And a lot of people don't understand that this is not only about Ukraine, but this is also about Europe. This is also about the United States. This is also about international law. And at the end of the day, it's about the world order. So if we now allow Russia to do what it wants to do, in other words, stop the existence of a Ukrainian state, then it's not only Ukraine that has lost, it's Europe that's lost, it's the West that has lost, and also the United States that has lost. And for those who doubt about this, let me say one thing very clearly. You cannot trust Putin. You cannot make a deal with Putin, because that means basically a deal also with China. I also say that for those who doubt, the only way in which Ukraine is going to fully win this war is that we continue the support that we have given you from the beginning. And I also say that if Russia gets what it wants now, trust me, it's not going to stop with Ukraine. We know that Putin will continue because his mind is one of imperialism and spheres of interest. So self-evidently, Finland will continue to support Ukraine for as long as it takes. We're the fifth biggest donor, GDP per capita. Let me finish off, however, by saying that I think in the past 2 weeks, we've been sort of a little bit lost. A new American administration has come in, and we have heard conflicting messages. I believe that we need to take the initiative back. And by that I mean to say that there needs to be something concrete on the proposal, on the table. So let me propose today something that I've spoken with you about and with many around the table. It's not a peace plan, but it's a sketch of a process. And that process, in my mind, goes very simply in 3 phases. The first phase is before the actual ceasefire. This is the phase when we put maximum pressure on Russia, including sanctions, including using the frozen assets, and of course, including continuing the military support for Ukraine. This is also the time when I think European leaders need seriously talk about security arrangements. And of course, the lead comes from Ukraine. You have the biggest land force and most experienced land force in Europe. But there needs to be support from Europe, and the backstop needs to come from the United States. All of this needs to be settled before a ceasefire is brokered, whether that's Easter or whenever, we don't know. The second phase is the ceasefire phase. And the ceasefire basically means that there's a contact line, probably monitoring thereof, but it also means that two things are put into place. First is a negotiation on the actual agenda and modalities of the peace process, because there is no peace process, there is no agenda, there are no modalities. And the second one is, of course, confidence building measures, which were mentioned here a little bit earlier, exchange of prisoners, returning the kidnapped children, etc., etc. This is the second phase. Then only begins the third phase, and we're far, far, far from it. And that is the actual peace process. That's when there is conversation about territory. That's when there is conversation about reconstruction. And that's when there is conversation about unraveling the sanctions. Having said all of that, very conditional, by the way, having said all of that, I think we need to make clear to the Russians and everyone else that there are a few things that are completely off the table in these negotiations. One is EU membership. It is not Russia who decides on EU membership. It is the European Union who does that. Two is NATO. It is not Russia that decides on NATO membership. It is the alliance itself. Three is Ukrainian defense. It is not Russia that decides on what Ukraine has by its border, when, where, and how. And four, European security arrangements or order. It's not Russia that decides on that. We already have a European security order and should stick to it. So those are off the table. And let me just finish off, because I do think this is such an important day, and I was watching all the colleagues on Maidan Square and the rest of it. But I do think this is a day when we have to honor the fallen Ukrainian heroes. I also believe that this is a day where we have to face the fact that Putin has lost this war, in a sense that we will see a European Ukraine. We will see eventually Ukraine in NATO. We've seen a unified European Union and hopefully a stronger transatlantic alliance in the long